2021. It's an honor to be one of the moderators of the esports panel. I'm blessed to have two other counterparts, two other stakeholders within the industry with me, and there's a lot that would want to hear from them. I'm from Kampala, Uganda, and I do know that we have people from Rwanda and the rest of Africa. So it's super good to see that DGFS is having all of us here together to talk about how gaming has been in the year 2021. The various challenges that the world has been facing with the virus and all other political aspects. But we thank God that we're here. We thank God that we have still kept at it. We have kept our dreams high and our vision high. So we're basically just here to discuss more on how we've been pushing through the year and maybe give a bit of hint of how next year will look. So I think I'll kick off with let's start from Rwanda. We have someone from Rwanda here, and I'm interested to see how has it been that side. How has the ecosystem been growing? What challenges and what have you seen happen? What are the gamers saying? How is next year going to look? Please do take us through, and on to you.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about the industry again. Actually, lately, that's what I've been doing. First of all, I would like to say that I'm glad to be here again, talking about the industry and what's been happening and what we've been doing. And I'm lucky to be a part of this panel. And as I always usually start, I would like to introduce myself. I'm from Shiva, I'm from Kigali, and I'm also part of the Inter-African community, the president of the Inter-African Org Rwanda. Also, I have a game development studio, and also it's the first one in the country, depending on the scale, on the grand scheme of things, or the things we're trying to accomplish and how we're planning to do things. And I also generally I'm an entrepreneur with a background in engineering and computer graphics, and also game design and tech expert. And also have started another company with technology oriented, and also trying to enable technologies and access. And also we are building tech hubs in Kigali in order to make technologies available for local creators, and also to make sure that the technologies are not a limitation for the African local creators, just to make sure that we are boosting and we are inspiring and spotlighting the local ecosystems. So lately, what have we been up to? So I don't know where to start, because there's a lot going on lately. A lot's happened. Maybe if I would like to, because if I go over the whole year, it's a very long one, and it's been very active and still immobile in a way, because we are all confined to our homes, and there's a lot to do in that scale. You have to do a lot digitally. At some point, it kind of drives you crazy, but on the other hand, you get used to it. So at the beginning of the year, as I've been doing lately, I always attend the Games Beat Summit. It's a very somehow corporate event. I get the opportunity to be invited as one of the industry people from Africa with some insights to share, because it's mostly exclusive, but mostly when you're an industry person, you get invited. And I was able to speak with some of the best in the games industry and interactive entertainment, and there's always so many great things to talk about, where there was the release of the new tools, and at the same time there was I think Tim Sweeney, the CEO from Epic Games, were talking about the release of Unreal Engine 5, and we were talking about the metaverse. That's when the buzz started back in January, and at the same time there was this fuss about the technologies and how the ecosystems develop around the tools. And you talk about how the artists and the developers and the entire ecosystem, how they cooperate with each other, whether around a certain project or a certain product, and also We also got the opportunity to pick some brains of some of the great creators of from the best titles we've ever heard. Like if you know Cyberpunk, like 2077 was just releasing. We had the opportunity to talk with the creator. I mean, the writer of the original game. Mike Pondsmith was talking about world building and all of that. Why am I talking about it? It's because when you talk about all of that kind of stuff, usually there isn't that many opportunities with the locals here to talk about that and to also kind of like pick each other's brain and share ideas because it's not yet flourishing as an industry. And that's why we are here laying these foundations, and that's why it's very, very tough and very difficult. And at the same time, when you're doing it remotely and you have to do it in front of a screen and you're talking to other people, there's one aspect that is not yet achieved in terms of human connection and also uh, the the aspect of interaction itself. And also I would like to also then skip a bit ahead back in, I don't know, around February, the end of January, also organized the yearly, as we always do, the yearly Global Game Jam. And it was also another very difficult one because it was completely digital, but at the same time we're getting used to it in a way. And we also had the opportunity to be invited in different events and conferences to talk about games and creating games and also the future of games in Africa, because that's our focus. So I was at the games DevCon Games for Change Summit. It was also one of those because DevCon lately, due to the pandemic, it became a yearly event where they have a multitude of several summits and conferences, and they specifically orchestrated around a different aspect of the industry. So one of the taken tools I was talking about there spoke about the tools and then how the ecosystem is in terms of the tools that are used, the popularity, and then the kind of content that is arising from all of those tools, and what the limitations are. And I keep raising awareness about how the African ecosystem is like an a dormant beast that's waiting to be awakened, because when you look at the demographics, we have most of the young people there in Africa. So the future, when you think about it, is in Africa. And there was also the finishing of the first season of the Africa Esports series. I think Evelia is going to elaborate on that a little bit because she's also the Wonder Woman for that one. And we all just been humble participants and also trying to contribute. At the same time, here we also trying to build an all-star team because we started working on a couple of projects, and they're still in the concept phase. And at the same time, still with the esports landscape, I don't think there is a visual aspect that you can easily grasp it in a way you can explain to somebody, because the structures are not yet set. And that's what we're trying to do for example, with the Africa Esports series. There's also another project that started locally here with the tech hubs, where we're trying to decentralize what is gaming and what do you do. And it's not just some childish thing, because there's a lot of career to be made and there's a lot of money there. And at the same time, when you skip ahead, during the summer we attended the DevCom and Gamescom at the same time. And I think Evelia is going to talk about that again because we are attending together. And I talked about also the ecosystem again, because it's the basic foundation, and most of the countries and the regions, we are still laying those foundations. And I talked about also the uh, the blockchain and the NFTs and in gaming, and I was talking about during the indie dev business last month. It's also an international event where it's just for indie developers and also developers in general, and as industry people, so you're always just happy to speak with fellow likely minded people. And we talked about how this crypto boom is affecting the games industry, and also how it could be good and bad at the same time for gamers in terms of esports, or developers in terms of game dev. So I was elaborating on the. I think I may have some slides from that I could share, uh, if if you're able to see my screen. Is it shared? Okay. I think that's the one. And with this, I was talking about the industry itself, and how the blockchain and the and the NFTs are affecting it in a good way. Mostly, it's all the hype, and then the reality, and if you're being realistic and all of that, and then talk about the potential. And it was actually a long talk, because I was talking about it started with the history of gaming in general, and we talk about the evolution of computer gaming in terms of graphics and genres, and how all of that influenced the next big thing. So I also talked about the future, how that's going to affect the games as art, because lately there is something growing in the industry, something like a cancer, where usually games are supposed to be fun, but lately it's most likely it's a chore, and it's something you have to do very stressed as an investment, because that's how those NFTs and crypto in gaming, that's how they're being pitched. So it's not really trying to attract gamers so that it boosts the esports ecosystem. It's mostly attracting the people who are in it for the money, or just trying to make a quick buck, and those are not gamers, because when you look at what gamers want, they want games, and they want good games. And lately, so many games that try to jump or to hop onto the bandwagon of the blockchain and NFTs. I think it's self-explanatory, because the backlash was enough to realize that it's too early, which was mostly my topic for the panel itself, whether it's too early for NFTs and crypto in gaming, or whether we should wait or not, or what we should try to solve. And then we go to the rising issues of how all of the gamers around the globe, due to the rise of digital distribution, where you don't technically own the games that you buy. And that's a question, because every time when you look at games like FIFA or 2K, every year it's a reset, and those games are heavily monetized. And when you look at the esports ecosystem, that rely on those player cards and packs, and you spent a whole year grinding and getting all those legendary players and packs, and after the year, just EA or 2K, they say we're retiring this, we're releasing another game, and then you have to reset and you have to buy all those things again. It means that you don't really actually own anything. So it's just tied to your account, and from the server they can just ban you, or just say we don't want you on this anymore. I mean, it's a long talk. I think I will share the links from the recorded replay, so that you can have some instead of the whole talk. But so when I talked about it, I was also explaining how that's going to affect the rising industries, for example, mostly here in Africa, because when you technically, we are all leapfrogging, if you understand what I mean. So we didn't get to be the ones developing these infrastructures and ecosystems, but we get to leapfrog them to take advantage of the latest technologies without having to be the ones developing them. But at the same time, in our own local ecosystems, we are developing the industry itself. So it's a challenge, because when you leapfrog and then you get into the wrong track, you then attracting the wrong crowd, and then it's going to be a spell for disaster after. And I think that was mostly what I was talking about with this panel. And the latest one was talking about the animation and art in Africa. Was the last one I've been on, I think, in the last week. And we also talked about, I was actually glad to have some of the people from the other side of the continent. I couldn't have as many as I wanted, but we were able to mobilize some people from Ghana and Nigeria, and they were talking about how their local ecosystem is working with the pipelines, whether when you talk about art and animation, whether it's mostly for games or for films and movies, and during that summit, and then they get to share how the landscape is, and how they go about it. Because you think about the artists in Africa, some of them that they be like, we're mostly limited by the technologies we use. Because when you think about the imagination or the inspiration, there's so many stories to tell in Africa, and there's so many games to make, because nothing has ever been made before to the African continent. And when you look at for example, world building and the virtual worlds for the metaverse, or all the games that are out there, it's mostly West oriented. And when you look at the environments, you can easily see that it's not Africa. And it was also a long talk, and I hope I will share the links, and then you can find it and see for yourself. But it was mostly a very, very long year, and I'm still glad to be here talking about games and esports and gaming. And I would like just to get back to the panel itself, and maybe Avelia will elaborate on most of the things I said, because it's mostly related, and also on what she's been up to. But I think without further ado, I would like to stop here, because then I would be taking the entire time for the panel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you've really elaborated on what you've mainly been covering throughout the year, and it's dope to see that you're up and up to date with where culture is pivoting right now. When it comes to the metaverse or the blockchain, Ethereum, and NFTs and all that. Though I have a couple of questions for you based on your exhibition. One, how does someone get to attend some of these events that you've been attending throughout the year? You've talked about a couple of events. I don't know if some have been online or offline. Like, how would one came out there if they want to
both.
Mm-hmm.
So it's both, but mostly I will share some links, because these are exclusive events, and they're for the industry people, and for developers. Usually the opportunities are there. You just have to ask the right people and be in the right communities, and then at the same time be curious and be willing to share and to learn from those experts. And for me, I cannot say that I am the best developer on the continent, or it's not even close. But at least I'm the one of the pioneers here that are trying to make a name for the continent itself, and to share the light on the creators from the continent itself. And to be able to attend, actually, you just have to know where to look and know what events are going on. Because, for example, you can look at the website. I will be sharing some links in the chat. For example, there is, if you go to gamedev.com, there used to be Gamasutra. You could easily find the list of events that are going on. You can also find some of them on Meet to Match. Let me find that. So if you can find that in the chat, I add that. And also at the same time, I know I'm not one who will be talking about using social media, because I really suck with social media. I'm not very good. But at the same time, I joined I'm on LinkedIn now, and when you have the right connections from the industry, and then you're always going to get hookups from the events that are coming up, and recently there's so many companies that are giving out opportunities for developers to be able to attend those events, because the tickets themselves, they are kind of expensive. And think about it, if you think about $200 or euros for a ticket for an event, it's not something for an indie developer or someone just starting to be able to afford. And sometimes even myself, I can't, and I would rely on those opportunities to be able to 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 attend. And at the same time, it's also very, very, very rewarding, because the experience itself, and also the connections you make, and also just the things you learn, and the exposure. So I think we have to dare ourselves to be able to stand in front of those crowds, because, for example, GDC, I was there in the last one, and they tell you we are having, like, the people here, they're extremely intelligent, and they know what they're talking about, and they know what they're there. So you have to know what you're talking about, and then you also have to shoot to the point, or to have something they're going to learn from you, because that's what everybody's looking for. They are good at what they do, and you're good at what you do, so they want to learn something you do, and you have to learn something that you do. So you have to learn from each other. So that's why you always have something, like a key takeaway from each session. If you're a speaker, or if you're an attendee, you just have to have something you learn from each event, and some takeaway, so that it's not some, like, a self-repeating contradiction, if that's correct context. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah. Question number 2, I think this is the last one. When you see the metaverse coming up, we're going to see a shift of some traditional sports, like maybe tennis, basketball, and all these other traditional sports cross over to the digital space. Yeah. What impact do you see? What impact do you see that having on the current esports titles like League of Legends, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Counter-Strike? Because then you're going to have these traditional sports being done electronically, and then people are now going to call them esports. Will those actually shadow the current esports titles? Because that's something I think most people haven't realized, but personally, I see happening. We're going to have, let's say, a golf event happen in the metaverse space, and will be regarded as an esport. What will then happen to Call of Duty? I'm looking at it from a viewership perspective. I'm looking at it from even just a terminology. What would people regard? Would they still regard? I don't know how it will be. So have you thought about it? Has it come up in your various interactions with other people? What do you think?
I'll try to be very fast and thorough with this, but when you talk about the metaverse and gaming, that's pretty much refers me to my last session during the indie dev business. You're talking about, there's the big bucks. There's a lot of money there, but the design is not there yet. If you look at the metaverse, and if you've been following the industry lately, for me, speaking from a personal standpoint, I attended all of them, and did, like, the Nvidia's GDC and GTC, and at the beginning of the year into the metaverse and CES, and also the digital Gamescom, all of these events just throughout the year. When you're talking about the metaverse, and then lately those keynotes from Microsoft, Google, Apple not yet, but Facebook, everybody, they are trying to gain in onto the metaverse, because it's a big trend, and the games industry, or in terms of interactive entertainment, it's the most highly consumed, or it's the with volume, it's the best medium for content consumption. When you look at movies and stuff, so the games, it's the best medium, and for the foreseeable future, nothing comes even close to that. And that's where the metaverse thing rises up, because when you think about the internet and the evolution of the internet, there was first Web 1.0, where you think about the way you consume content. So Web 1.0 was just, you could see the content on the web and you could just read, was read only. Web 2.0 is what we are experiencing now. You could actually create content. You have YouTube, you have Twitch, you have all those streamers, you have games, you have websites, you have social media. You create content, you also consume content at the same time. And then the next generation, or the next big thing, is Web 3.0, where you have like, it's like when you would put into an understandable perspective, the 3D internet. Instead of watching the internet, you're into the internet, and it's like being in the real world. And whether, if you were to go to visit Google, then you would hop onto your, I don't know, futuristic Tron bike and surf across the world in 2 minutes and go to Google. Maybe they have something built virtually, and then you be there. So in terms of the construct itself, it's not there. We're not there, not even close, because they are all pitching us what that future is going to be like. It's like when you're trying to pitch your idea to an investor, but in this case, they're pitching to the
markets.
Yeah, they're pitching to the market so that they can easily lure us into their platform, so that they are the ones who are going to take the lead. But at the same time, it's very scary, because the evolution of Web 2.0, you saw the rise in heavily centralized systems and no interoperability, because then you have so many closed systems and you see so many resources wasted on competition. Because you can see if maybe Epic Games, this is hypothetically, if Epic Games and Crytek and EA or Ubisoft, they all spent their resources to develop one universal game engine that they're all going to use, and then it's open source because everybody can create for that engine, and then all the games are going to be onto one platform, then it's going to be easy to create the metaverse, because it's not owned by a single company. Everybody's developing for that, and there's no a single source or just a bottleneck for the entire system. Because when you think about it, one day back in February, Google servers went down for a day, and it was chaos. I think most of you experienced that. So if you think about that, then think about a metaverse application controlled by Facebook, which is now Meta. And it's not that they can't, but imagine then their servers go down and they're controlling everything. So whoever is on that, or if everything is deleted by a hack or something, then you lose everything. But that's where also this blockchain technology kind of like helps in a bit with the way the blockchain works itself, because the value is in the ecosystem itself. You have many people, then the system has value, because then it's about information distribution. There's no one center node. When you look at the entire ecosystem, there's no one centralized node where it gives information to the others. And with that concept in mind, then if my computer goes down and it's part of the metaverse that is decentralized, then I don't affect the rest of the network. All I have to do is just connect back, and I'm going to get the information from every other. It's like when you ever downloaded torrents, you know what peer-to-peer is. So it's mostly the same, and it's mostly advanced. And then you talk about smart contracts, how the Ethereum blockchain works, because it was more like an advanced blockchain that learned from the Bitcoin blockchain and all of that. So the metaverse itself, we don't have it. And whether it's Microsoft or Facebook or Google, they're trying to tell us that they're going to give us the better experience. But for me, my take on this, so that I don't have to talk about it for so long, is that you don't have to take them for their word. We as a community, we don't have all the infrastructure and the capabilities to create that. But those big companies, they do. But we can leverage that, and once the ecosystem is grown up to a scale where it's what I call a critical mass, where you cannot stop it, and then we can dictate how we want it to be. Because then when it's decentralized, there's no one company that can say we are taking off the servers or we're shutting this thing down, because they can't. So it's more like it's going to be interoperable and also decentralized, and it's going to be very, very easy to have control over the content you own, whether the information you want to share, and all of that. And also in terms of games or in the metaverse or building for the metaverse, it's also going to give value for us, the creators and the gamers who try to enjoy the content, or also just the spectators. So there's going to be a lot of value, but it's going to depend on how those foundations are laid on. So it's going to be mostly dependent on the interoperability and also the decentralization of the system in on itself, the metaverse, I mean, as a concept. So it has to be decentralized, and it has to be interoperable. Because if Facebook has their own metaverse and it's close to Facebook, then it's not a metaverse, it's a Facebook metaverse. So you have to talk about it as a metaverse, and then we need some kind of like universal description on how to create that thing, because it's a monster that we can't easily comprehend when you think about the way all of these companies are pitching all of those things to us. But it's going to be up to us, and we're going to decide where we want to take it. Just like the Bitcoin itself, or when you have crypto, when you lose your wallet key, you lose your crypto. You cannot complain to anybody. It's your loss. So it's like just in real life. When you lose an arm, there's nobody you got to complain to. Like, I need my arm back or something. So you know the value of what you own, and you find measures to keep it safe just by yourself. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I think what I mainly take from your exhibition is that right now it's still early in its time, and we're not sure where this can pivot towards. And I think that's a word out to whoever is watching, that let's try to take most of these changes slow and look a lot to our local and African economy, because there's some things that may work in the West but not necessarily work locally. So there's a bit of work for us to do in terms of strategizing and finding ways to contribute and also to partake in some of these various experiences that we may see come to truth in these next few years. But I think I would want now to jump to Burkina Faso and get a word from there, get to know how the infrastructure is, how the ecosystem is moving, and what representative we have from there today.
So thank you. It's a pleasure for me to join you today for this 5th edition of Digital Art Festival. So I'm Evelia Gadegbeku. I'm a strategy and communication, digital strategic and communication consultant here in Burkina Faso. I'm managing a creative agency work in the digital domain. I'm also the president of Inter-Africa Burkina, and a part of Inter-Africa organization as the head of communication and marketing. And since 2018, we work into this project, Inter-Africa project, to help African creative to be together, to work together. The project starts with 15 countries, with the ambition to provide solutions for our country main problem. And after that, we jump into another domain, game development, to develop a common game for these 50 countries, and a game for each country. In Burkina Faso here, we try to host a gaming event as Global Game Jam since 2019, and also esports competition with some local company to allow gamers to see another level of competition, esports competition, and also to provide them opportunity to be in touch with other countries in French, African French zone, West Africa, and to see the opportunity behind just the games they play after that, we come with Africa Esports Series in the beginning of this year with 16 African countries, with the cause to provide a new vision for gamers in the continent, and also with education part who allow gamers to learn more about the esport ecosystem in the international level, but also to be in touch with the gamers all around the world. After that, we come with the African competition game market is a project led by Speed Fabric and Great Institute in Africa. We are at the first edition this year. Last year, we worked with Speed Fabric, Great Institute, to host the first test edition, I can say that. This project aims to help games developers to be in touch with European game developers and work together into game developing project, not only in Africa, but have the opportunity to be to develop a game who can be shown in the European market. So after this first test, we come with this edition this year with the partnership with Ubisoft and Orange France, who help the winner to develop their game and to distribute into European market. So I don't know if you have some question, but I will be very glad to go deep into our discussion.
Yeah, so personally, I think I would want to know when it comes to Enter Africa, what have mainly been the key targets and the vision? What's the build around Enter Africa? What's the main goal? Because I know a few people that are jumping into, are watching this, may not necessarily know what Enter Africa is doing across the various African countries. So it will be dope for you. Just give us like an insight on, what's the build around Africa, what's the goal, and what's the vision, so I would get some sort of perspective.
Okay. Ant-Africa is a creative organization who aims to be a gateway between African creative and the rest of the world. We aim to create a gaming ecosystem in Africa with all the key AHA in the ecosystem and bring everybody together. We are like a bridge between the continent gaming ecosystem and the international gaming, and also provide opportunity for all the skaters in the continent. That's our main goal. And our vision is to develop the African game ecosystem industry at all the level.
Yeah. Is it like an African organization? Is it like an international organization? How's the structure? How is it structured? Okay, and how can someone be part of it? How can someone like me or maybe any gamer out there, if they want to be part of it, what are the various ways of doing so?
Okay, we start with 15 countries, 15 sub-Saharan countries in the continent. We actually have 15 presidents in this country. And since 2021, this year, in fact, we received a request from Sudan. So now we are 16 countries. And how you can be a part, it depends if you already have some project or some those key actors in your country. You can send us just a request, and we have our rule, and we provide this rule. And after that, we decide with all the executive member, all the president of country, if this country can be a part of Ant-Africa. I don't know if you have one question for me.
Yeah, we're getting you.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't get your question. You want to present something?
I don't know if you have another question.
Oh, no. I was just generally wanted to know. So if someone has to reach out, can they reach out as an individual? What's the criteria of me being part of Enter Africa?
just want to change the narrative of creative industry gaming in their country, and also want to develop if most of action we have our country is to provide support, not only financial but technical support to the local teams if they are just looking to work on some project, or if they want to develop some expertise, so we can find a partner for them, and also provide like a logistic for them also.
Yeah, you talked about education. What's the merger when it comes to education and gaming? What do you see happening? What is currently happening? Why is there that link? I'm a bit curious to find out. So how has it been happening, and how are you executing on that too, bringing them together?
In fact, we just have this, we learn about African ecosystem. What I mean by that is, since last year, we come into the table and have discussion about the opportunities in African ecosystem and how to grab it. Unfortunately, we don't have an university dedicated to that, or school dedicated to that.
Yeah.
We learn by ourselves, and most the key actor who are being known now is the person who just like him and try to develop their own expertise. So right now we come with some projects like the game jams or hackathon. It's a French word, I guess. And also what we start is to have a conversation with a local government or ministry about how we can find a place for this ecosystem, because most of the key, the person who can be help a local ecosystem, local team, are not seeing this ecosystem like something who can help the country, but just a fun activity for most of them. So our goal as an organization is to start the discussion with this country, with this government, and it's one part of our challenge with education program becomes. It's not just we come with educational program in esports domain, but we start also to have a discussion with some institution like French institution. OEF is International Organization of Francophonie, Great Institute. When we come with some project, we try to put training into this project to allow the local teams to improve their skills, and also to find the opportunity to make a co-production who can give also some opportunity there.
Yeah. Okay, that's dope, and that's something I'm really keeping a key eye on, to see how best we can have education and gaming brought together, because it's something that's massively pushed within Africa. I'm still trying to I'm looking for the practicality, and I want to see it happen. I want to see it possible. So I think that's something I know look out for. I think before we jump into the chat, because I think a couple of questions, maybe one or two, and I also have one last key question for the two of you. I'd also maybe just give a brief about myself and what I do. My name is Ivan Chiluka from Kampala, Uganda. I'm 22 years of age. I'm an aspiring creative entrepreneur, and I run a local gaming and esports brand in East Africa. I think currently one of the biggest in East Africa. Mainly built around the game of Call of Duty, and we're just pushing it in that angle and hope to get into other titles down the road. So how I also got into the ecosystem and how the ecosystem has been this year, I would say there's been a lot of learning done within each month that we've basically been executing on most of the projects we have this year. A lot of growth. The community has really widened, and we've massively spread out to other countries around Africa, which is something dope. Our main focus is so much around content creation and also community building, and also building personalities. Yeah, we're basically now the ones that have that hands-on touch on the gamers themselves, and just giving them something to look up to, seeing how best you can educate them to do this, that, and the other within the industry. We do believe that not everyone has to be a gamer to partake in the gaming space. So we are showing people these various opportunities. We're looking at various other ecosystems, various other industries around Africa, from the entertainment, from music to design, and seeing how best we can all bring these people together, and let them know of what the gaming industry is and what it can offer. Personally, I think this is a unique space that we're in, especially being some of the first people to execute on most of the things that people are seeing around Africa, gaming related. So it's a big opportunity for me personally, because I think gaming is going to play a massive role in the future when it comes to the Web 3.0. Gaming is going to have a big position there. So that's why I'm super hyped to see that I can be within this space. And when I see various stakeholders around the world within various other industries, music, sports, and Hollywood, and they're all investing into gaming, it does give me a bit of hope, and does show that there's a light at the end of the tunnel in what we're investing in. There may not be as much return now, but we are kind of keeping at it and grinding hard at it as the days go on. So that's a brief for me, and I think we're left with a few minutes to wrap this up. But I want to jump into the chat and see what questions were there. Tina Sniper is just asking, can we have an African metaverse? Personally, I don't know much around the metaverse space. I haven't invested into it in terms of research a lot, and I'm planning to move forward to putting more time in that next year. By the way, there's a change that we're going to make to our brand, and we're actually going to have a dedicated brand around Web 3.0. We're going to kind of expand more of what we do just outside gaming, and we enter a bit in the NFT space, a bit in the metaverse space, but from a research perspective and not necessarily execution, because we normally want to understand things before we get into them deeply. And since this is something that's going to take time for it to grow, we're just taking it slowly and seeing what we can do. Though, to Tinder Sniper's question, this would be my answer. I think I'll also go back to what was said earlier about most of the things that are being built around the metaverse are not Africa. Like, they're not necessarily around Africa, which is a very good point there. A lot's being compared to how the Western infrastructure is, how the Western markets are doing, the Western economy, and things of that sort. Now, in Africa, what can we do? We may not have the necessary infrastructure to build a metaverse. Maybe not. I don't know. But I feel like one thing we're all sleeping on right now is building IP. We're sleeping on an asset that we can grow and 100% own, and then fully maximize and utilize in the future. When you look at some of the biggest gaming brands right now and how they're partaking in the metaverse space, they're not directly participating, but maybe coming up with their own NFTs or maybe coming up with their own builds. No, but there's the kind of platforms that the key stakeholders in the metaverse space are looking for to partner with. And reason being is that they've managed to build very strong IPs, and they've managed to grow a very good fan base, and they've managed to grow their market, which I feel most of Africans are massively sleeping on. We may not have the infrastructure to design most of these worlds or design even NFTs or an NFT that works, but there's nothing stopping a Western company partnering with a local brand because they'd want to jump into the African market. Now, me personally, that's a thesis I'm driving off. I don't see myself coming up with some sort of build around the metaverse or anything, but I want to grow a brand that's so powerful and has a really wide market base and really good influence, and have that thought leadership in the market. A brand that Western brands will be looking out for when they want to, project and have positioning within the African market. And that's a thing that I think most of us should be doing: building brand, building IP, building something you own. Such that Facebook or Meta will ask themselves, oh, I think we want to jump into the African space. Maybe they may not do directly and have themselves go in. They would now look out for what brand can we partner with that already has this market that we're looking for. I mean, they have the money to just come in and do it themselves. But most of the times, these brands also evaluate the fact that they want to make authentic moves at the end of the day. So they'd rather have a partnership than them come down and do the ground and do that dirty work. So that's something I feel game developers should actually jump onto, because if you look at most of the engines that I had to build these spaces around Epic, Nvidia, I mean, these are things that we all relate with, game developers massively relate with. So we need to start seeing more Africans coming up and building brands. Yeah, brands that I feel other Western companies can come in and partner with, and you still get to be part. You still get to be part of a feature. You still get to contribute to the feature. You still get to be that thought leader. And at the end of the day, you're able to make some sort of monetary return at the end of the day. So to me, that's my take when it comes to like gaming and NFT space and the metaverse space. Partnerships are something we should be looking out for, and these are concepts that are already being done and being moved on in the Western world. We see one of the gaming brands, Face Clan, has partnered with I forgot the company they partnered with, but then they've worked on an apparel digital project, something of that sort. But that shows you how these brands are looking for placement, because they might have the funds, they might have everything, they may have the infrastructure, but they may not have the market. So market is going to be one of the biggest solutions we're going to provide if we cannot necessarily develop, some of these experiences locally. Yeah, so that's just my take on
Actually,
that. And yeah, you could jump in, please.
actually, with building for the metaverse, or it's just looking for partnerships and stuff. Actually, that could be a slow path. At the same time, because when you look at the market itself, you have to think about what's the market, what drives the market. What drives the market and the ecosystem itself is the content. When you're talking about games and stuff, so what games are on the market, when you look at all the games and the stories and the context, then you see what is it there that I can do that's never been done before. And that's where we come in, and we're trying to create this new market for Africa. Because, for example, for esports and gamers, as you mostly know, uh, the the infrastructure itself for online competitive gaming, when you're looking at the analytics and statistics, you look at the global map, always the African continent is dark. There's nothing. So it's because all of the big studios and other providers for those content that are consumed through the medium of gaming, they are not on the African continent, or either if they're there, they're not recognizable because they're doing things on a scale that is not recognizable on a global stage. And that's a market shift that's going to mostly change things, because when you think about the audience and you think globally, then you're going to attract even people from the other side of the world. Speaking about the metaverse and building virtual worlds and stuff, because we have so many great artists building great things, and it's not going to be just waiting for Meta or other companies to come partner with you, because sometimes they don't, and they want to build their own things that they can control. And it's just going to be up to us, and we are laying in the first steps. So it's a long way, but
Yeah.
it's a ball game. So the ball get passed around all the time in the game. So you don't have to worry about where the ball is right now, because when the ball gets to you, you have to make sure that you're able to do something with it.
Okay, so I think as we wrap up, I would have one last question for you guys. I think we have like 5-6 minutes. Thomas, I think I'll start with you. Is this something you do full time, or do you
Uh,
balance this with other aspects of whatever you're into? Because you talked about being into design, being into animation. Is the gaming industry a space that you're in full time, or it's something you do part time?
Actually, yeah, I'm basically an entrepreneur. I own, I run around two companies now full time, and lately I've been building trying to build the infrastructure. Like I said, we for example, we are acquiring some office working facilities around the city and trying to build them into some tech hubs, and also
Yeah.
at the same time trying to build some local ecosystem where you could have just the creators. They come and they do things, and then they leverage the latest technologies. So I have two paths: as a tech enabler and as a creator. So as a tech enabler, we have a company called Neutronics Systems, where we have we have a department that builds award-winning and high-end and industry-standard gaming computers and stuff, and we have
Yeah.
partnerships with some of the brands from all the globe, like Metabox, and then some of the best retailers like Micro Center. They agreed to be actually looking for ways to work with us, because we are only the ones doing that. And our office is now our showroom actually is nearly completed, and by
Yeah.
next year we're going to start hosting some events, esports competitions, because we're going to start hosting like the first global like intercontinental competitions here in Rwanda, because we're building in like I may call it an arena for esports, but it's more like if you could call it that, it's going to be like a haven for gamers, because the way it's going to be, like, it's now not completed. We're just now wrapping up with the showroom, but it's going to be a local ecosystem, and also an infrastructure that's going to serve as a bridge for the next generation, and also for the current creators. And at the
Yeah.
same time, with Digital Realm, I'm doing it full time, and we actually working on a project for some of the simulation applications, and we're going to be able to share that with with the world once it's ready. But I think that's what I can say for now.
Yeah. Okay, that's dope. Vilia, what about you? Like, is this something you do? Is gaming something you're part of full time, or are you, juggling into a few other things? Is she there? I can't tell though.
Sorry, I just mute my microphone.
Okay.
I just say that since last year, I'm just jumping to Anti-Africa organization as full of my time working with my team countries. I try to involve some partners, but I also manage my agents, my creative agents, to host gaming events, and try to involve most of the skaters here in Burkina Faso, and try to connect few country in the continent for an international event in gaming in 2022. So that's the
Okay, guys, I think that's a wrap from us. Thank you very much, DJat Fest, for having us on the DJat Fest 2020 online event. Thank you for those who are tuning in. Please stick around. There are a few other panels coming in, and a few other people coming in to talk about various other stuff in the pop culture industry. So we're super pumped to see that we can be part of this. We thank God that we are, all well and all healthy. And we wish to thank Lorraine for organizing this and having us all on this platform, which is so dope. I think my last words to everyone here would be, guys, let's go work hard and build brands. Yeah, let's build our IPs, because these are IPs that we shall 100% own, and let's just have that market influence, because this is something so many people are going to be looking out for. So big ups to everyone. Tinder Sniper, thank you for tuning in. Marcus, thank you for tuning in. And cheers, and have a good one, guys. Before I also go, we shall be having a Warzone Invitational, a Warzone tournament on the new map, Caldera. We shall be having that at 8 p.m. East African time. It will also be aired on the Digital Fest website. So do you jump in, tune in, and hope to see you guys there. Cheers and peace.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Okay, cool.